That was ridiculous how fast you went down. Oh, that's where they are.
Okay, don't worry.
Oh, just too
Uppercut,
good.
uppercut, sonic
Boom! Well, hello there, you absolutely glorious grubs. Today, we're going to be taking the big donk out from under the bonnet, the straight six, and letting it rip, the UMOP. I call it the UMOP because I'm a dad that tries to make funny words out of other words and then pretend that he's funny in turn. It's how I identify myself, and it's one of the things I need to change in my life. This video is proudly sponsored by Feitz and Sixless. The reason I'm making this video is because, I'll show you the tweets. We were talking about the AKM the other day, and I was having a chat with Feitz and Sixless, all very good friends. I watched the video on the AKM the other day. I just feel like it's missing the fact that it has probably one of the least consistent hip fires, the AKM that is. SMGs have way better hip fire, plus you can move faster, which makes strafing jiggle better. So why would you take AKM over SMG? Great question, Aussie noob. And then Sixless dogpiled on with like, we're talking about CQC only here, I thought. If overall AKM, because you could spray it a little further, but CQC UMP. Yeah, I think he's right. And the reason I think he's right is quite simple. Everyone has a different way of playing the game. We call it the paradigm, the way you look at the game. The paradigm is really about how you fit, the context of you in the game. And my CQC is probably a little bit further than the CQC of those guys who are comp players and incredible solo squatters and conquerors and really talented dudes and much better than me at the game. I would probably extend my CQC by saying that when I judge a weapon, I also judge it on the versatility and the way it fits inside the meta of a public game. And for me, that's really, really important. Plus, I also judge it on the way I play. And I think that, overall, is the most important context and paradigm we need to talk about. Cipher. The cipher of the way we look at the gun is my eyes. I play the game in a much more methodical fashion, okay? And I try and make all my engagements where I have an advantage. And one of the big advantages I find for me is keeping people at about 30 to 50 meters. This kind of range here, right? This is for me still what I would consider early mid-range, late close quarters, okay? And when you're in that kind of an engagement, the reason that I find ARs to be so much more advantageous is bullet speed, okay? UMP bullet speed is quite slow. It's 365 meters a second, which is only ever so slightly quicker than a VSS. And if you've ever tried to snipe with a VSS, you'd understand what I mean when I say it's not real quick. Whereas an AR's bullet speed is always far in advance of that. And that means that your bullets get there quicker and that there's a big advantage. But when you're up real close, like I was there, then it's very hard to argue that one, the UMP isn't more accurate because you can hip fire with the UMP and have an incredibly small spread, which is very, very important for players like Feitz or Sixless, who are doing erratic movements and very, very fast twitch aims, and not pre-firing like I am there, just being a potato. And then you have the other idea, which is there's no recoil on these guns. UMPs, vectors, things like that. They just don't have the recoil. And there's no negative to movement speed. Movement speed isn't adversely affected because there is a penalty running an AR or an LMG or a DMR in your hands while you're running. You actually run slower. It's not huge, but it's a thing. And if you're a person that's running hip firing and fast twitching and you're solo squatting, then I can see why you'd want to be running SMGs non-stop all day in, all day out. I mean, this is my best impersonation of running around, switching SMGs around. I'm no Feitz, I'm no Sixless, but I'm certainly capable of outthinking the opponent. Let's run about the stats of the UMP. The UMP's base damage is 42.9, okay? That's been buffed tremendously. It used to be just a shade under 40, I think it was 39.9. And so it's had a buff on the rate of fire, and it's had a buff on the damage, which is very, very important. since the game started. UMP SMGs overall also got buffs a long time ago to explosive damage. Now, explosive damage is damage where you hit a limb, like an arm or a leg. They do more damage to leg shots, even when they have lower damaging rounds than ARs, which is pretty impressive. The flip side of this is that ARs do something crazy. ARs have a headshot multiplier, which is through the roof. Your UMP headshot damage is 77. Your AKM headshot damage from a single round is 110, I think it is. 110.1 or something. So I just went and checked because I am on the spectrum, and it is 110.1, and I don't know why I doubted myself because I live for numbers. So let's break this down. And it says a lot about the way you approach PUBG Mobile as a player, depending on where you come out in this. Is the UMP better than the AKM? Well, it certainly is in certain situations. Like that right there was brilliant because the UMP has such a hard-hitting round, and up close, the bullet speed is not that big a factor that when someone runs at you with a 5.56 AR, you're joyful. What does the UMP do better? Well, it's much better at hip firing, as Feitz pointed out, in the jiggle. And it is much better in the 5 meter range outside of headshots. It's almost like saying, what's better? Cerise, purple, lavender, lilac? Which color do you think is better? And it's almost, that's a terrible analogy, but do you understand what I'm saying? And it's one of the reasons why I love this game so much, is the gunplay in PUBG Mobile is elegant and sophisticated. Bullet speed, limb damage, headshot multipliers, base damage, recoil, hip-fire recoil, magazine size. I mean, these are all things that come into the equation. And if you're someone like Feitz, then the UMP is probably the better weapon for you. If you're running a bolt action, I would still run the AKM every day of the week because the AKM just has a longer reach. It also allows you to, well, for instance, I love corridor fights like this when I'm running the AKM. I love long corridor fights of about 45, 50 meters, which you get at Millbase, because you can aim for headshots down those corridors and do quick peeks and hits. And if you get a headshot, bang, it's catastrophic. When you're doing it with the UMP, I prefer to come out and strafe out from this kind of situation and hip fire because it's broken. It's so soft. When you get to a range like this with the UMP, you'll see it's fallen off because it's not very good at leading targets. Bullet speed is required to lead targets. Even low-end AR bullet speeds like the AKM at 714 meters a second is far more preferable to the UMP. The UMP is only good at targets that are coming directly at it. Oh, that poor gruff. I literally landed and lay down, and he wasted his full clip over the top of my head. Once you get out to this kind of range, you've got to hope that they've got no armor and no gear left and they're nearly dead, so you can actually get the clear. Once again, a wonderful Studio Space Twitter. If you haven't followed the Twitter feed, it's at Bushka on Blitz, at Bushka on Blitz. I've generally got it down in the description below. The UMOP is broken. There's no doubt about that. There are certain parts of its gameplay style which are silly. This is a great UMP fight where there's a squad over there on a corner at 24 meters, 25 meters. This is kind of where it starts to be really effective. Anything outside of this, I can sometimes struggle with the UMP just because people fast moving and fast twitching, it's not as effective as an AR. But this kind of a gunfight, this is where this gun absolutely lives. Thanks for putting up that shield, by the way, mate. That was really helpful. Look at all the hip firing going on here. The fast movement, the easy aim, the soft recoil. If I'm ADSing, I want a AKM. I mean, it's not hard. And I guess that's a good point, a good line to draw in the sand. That really is the Rubicon. If you have to ADS, then I would probably take the AKM. Because if you're ADSing with an AKM, you're doing it for headshots, right? If you're not ADSing and you're using a UMP, that poor grub's only got a pan. It's because you're in a situation where you're in a movement fight. You don't have a corner to peek. You don't have a place to quick fire and withdraw to. See how I took damage there even though I was firing first? Because the bullet speed just wasn't quick enough? That can be a problem. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. The UMOP, it's a brilliant weapon. If I had to pick one non-AR to run, it would be this. In terms of an SMG, there's a lot of good guns in the game, and it's a testament to how sophisticated this gameplay is. PUBG Mobile, that there are so many different ways to do the one job, and none of them are wrong. Like, all these weapons are correct. M16s have a place, UMPs have a place, Tommy guns, and we're going to be doing a Tommy gun video very, very soon. We're going to talk about the DP28 too. That's a weapon that's really copped a flogging of late, and I want to really muscle up on that. We need to go through what the DP28 is doing now and where it's at. This is where the UMP is absolutely fantastic. This kind of a heartbreaking situation, all hip fire all day. I'm Bushka. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos. Hope you enjoy yourselves, and until next time, bye for now.